Hi guys, this is my podcast series. I'm a qualified actuary, and the purpose of this podcast series is really to speak to really experienced and senior professionals from our industry, the actuarial industry, and seek their insights so that it's very, very useful for younger actuaries what we can take away and learn from their journey. So, my very first guest is Mr. Bala Joshi, sir, and he is really very experienced, reputed, and a senior actuarial professional. Uh, Sir has almost around 30 years of experience in this industry. He has worked in various leading actuarial firms like Swiss Re, MetLife, etc. And currently, he works as a group chief actuary at LivWell. Uh, Apart from like leading firms, I feel that what I really found interesting in Sir's profile was his enormous experience in terms of his career choices, and that the fact that he has mentored lots and lots of budding and younger actuaries as part of his team while he used to work for the bigger firms. And I welcome you, sir, today for this chat. I'm humbled that you gave me this opportunity to speak to you so that younger actuaries like me and others who will be listening to us can really get some useful insights from your journey.
Thanks, Arushi, and you can call me Bala. Sir feels me make like I'm going back to Christ University to teach, and everybody calls sir. It is quite unusual, so call me Bala. Thank you. Thanks again for this
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah. So, sir, I would like to start from the start, really. So, you know, how you got to know about actuarial science and how you decided that you want to enter this field.
It's interesting. It's a long way. Most like feels forgotten now. But I was in government service. Actuarial science was not my first career because way back when I graduated from Class B, Class C town, I hadn't even heard of it. So I was trying to get into IIT, but got into IISC, the ME integrated. I didn't like it. Then did law and finally settled in Government of India as ex customs inspector. But it got boring after some time. Fortunately for me, I was lucky. My father was in LIC. So he brought this up and said, look, this is something to be an actuary, you need to know a lot many things. You have done so many things and add some more things and you become an actuary, right? So then I started studying. I liked what I saw. Back then, there were no core material, it was books. So my first brush was going through books and understanding what it was, and I liked it. And then I haven't looked back.
So, what year was that when we didn't even have the core material? That's interesting.
99, I suppose, 1998, 99.
Okay.
And then it's
Okay.
called A1, A2, B1, B2, and C1,
Right.
C2, D1, D2.
Yeah. And then it's really like just reflecting upon that bit because like you had you took some time to like get to know your calling really, and you know it's kind of comforting because you know even the younger actuaries or the younger um, generation who's like trying to figure out what they want to do, they're almost like under pressure, and it feels like you're an outlier sometimes when you're not able to get it, you know, right and at a faster pace. So it is quite comforting that you know once one is able to identify that, then they can reach as successful heights as you have. So it's not like we'll be like losing out on something and we can take our time. I guess if that's something I can conclude maybe. So
There's always opportunity cost, right? This opportunity cost concept is so true. And at the same time, you got one life, and then why be happy with one life?
yes,
So, yes, by being an actuary gives you a um, good start, a starting point in life, but you don't have to be an actuary, right? Same with me. I started something else, but I became an
yeah,
actuary. So
yeah,
you really need to find that it's just one life you got, and
yeah,
then there has to be. You need to find a way to live multiple lives. It's up to you.
yeah.
There is no right or wrong.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right. That's a great thought, sir. And so like how did you land up your first job? Like uh, yeah.
Oh, that's even interesting. I met my first boss about in GCA, and I
Mm-hmm.
was joking him. He was my first boss, and then I actually one of the companies did not take me. and the person who interviewed became my colleague later. That's a different matter, but Dr. Sriram, I can take his name. And he was saying, you know what, Bala, I was reaching out to you. We were looking for you, not that you were looking for me. We were looking for MetLife. So he was saying I was very intrigued. A central excise inspector who's studying actual science and he wants to join. We actually were looking for you, and that was so comforting to hear. Now after like 20 years, I started, but then. Back then it was very limited field. If you had passed a couple of papers, you would definitely get an opportunity, unlike now. So one had to just start then into actuarial science. It wasn't that difficult to get in like now.
Right, right. So, sir, at what level did you join and like how did you like fare out there? Like how was your experience? Was it something was easy for you or difficult? Or like were was the content you learned from your the books and the core reading like was it helpful and how was your experience there? Like did you ever feel it's for you or not and things like those?
Oh, it's very interesting memories you bring up, Arushi. Ah, I started actuarial science, and then in between, I lost my father, and then I got married, had a kid, and all that. And then I took a jump to leave a government job that is secure, and that was really a challenge. And then when I joined here, and I had no clue. And I did not even know Excel had 3 sheets, right? I was asking someone, where's the other sheets? I had to really search, okay, go down there, then the tab. And I still remember someone gives me a model in a couple of weeks. What's your opinion about it? And that's a complex tension model. I had no clue. And that gives me some nightmares because I had to unlearn what I had learned in central excise as a government. And then there's a particular way of working. I had to unlearn to compete. I had to compete at least 6, 8 years younger. I joined midlife as a 32 or 33. So that means I was working with as a mid-level manager, and I had no clue what my team used to do. I hadn't heard of US GAAP. I did not know what DAC was. I did not know how that affects the financials. So first couple of years was like I was very doubtful. Sometimes I had thought, should I go back to my government and ask them take me back. But then yes, it was hard to switch, hard to unlearn what I knew for 8, 10 years and then relearn, and at the same time compete with a new generation. It was hard, but it was
Oh,
worth it.
yeah, yeah. And I think resilience is the key, isn't it? Like you just kept at it and here
We
you
had
are.
a conviction that if you like
Yeah.
something, I think one should believe, and I mean, it's a circle of competence, right? You should know what you have, you should know what you can sustain, and then and be willing to put long hours. It's true for
So,
anything.
had you qualified in that job, or like was it earlier you qualified than that?
Oh, I took longer to qualify. When I jumped my secure government job, I was almost like associate. Uh, then the next 4 papers took another almost 5, 6 years because I had to focus on learning job first. Exams came later, right? I did not have a
Yeah.
luxury of, uh, they sitting and studying like younger people have now. There is no, the concept of exam leaves were much lesser.
Yeah.
And I still remember one of the worst, not I would say worst, most stressful periods at the same time also most learning periods. I must have gone to office like every day non-stop for 100 days, Saturdays, Sundays, go they get up and go office, and we never know and come back. And they come back, have a very young kid and not able to talk to him because I had to study. Yes, it was a bit of a different journey.
And like once like you were done with that aspect, like it feels to me like given I have some years of experience after qualification, so it feels like a new life or a different phase of life, like before qualification and after qualification. So like how was your experience like once you qualified, like the requirements at job, like did you have to train yourself like in two areas? I would say one is like the technical and the work that you do, and the other is on the personality side or the attitude one should carry, like as a new actuary or some years experienced actuary, so to say. So
I would say yes, the qualification makes an important milestone,
yeah.
But then becoming an actuary is a gradual process, and the qualification just gives you a tool, right? And the process of being actuary starts way before you really qualify.
Hmm.
Especially for me, the transformation from uh, unlearning and relearning was a major part of milestone to become someone what I am today. But then qualification took almost another 5 6 years. But and interestingly, when I had qualified, and when I was qualified, I was in US for some time. At Life sent me to the head office, and I came back. The regional CFO asked me, "Are you ready?" And I had two answers. I was in two minds what to do, yes or no. But I said no because I was not ready. I knew I was not ready. Uh, if I look back now, maybe it was not a right answer, but then I was convinced that I was not ready yet. I need another couple of years because I just worked on part of the functions. I knew
Right.
reserving, I knew reporting, but not on pricing. I knew I couldn't connect the thing like my then boss Fanesh would do. So I said no, I'm not ready.
Hmm.
And that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
You know whether you are ready to
Yeah.
take bigger risks. You have to be true
Yeah.
to yourself.
Yeah. No, I think that's a useful thing to hear because quite often even I've seen and experienced that we know how much we know and what are our strengths and weaknesses, but rather than investing energy on like kind of ironing out those problems and like making them your weaknesses better, we rather try to sometimes hide it, and I think that's not going to help.
I would slightly put a different way. I see this
Okay.
perspective from leading a team of 100 plus actuarial students in history, different teams, different multiple functions. uh, it's not peer pressure. It's not that someone else got a promotion, I need to get a promotion. It's not that
Mhm.
someone else got that much of a salary, why I'm not getting. That's a frequent questions I
Mhm.
would ask. It's not about that. It's about how confident are you
Mhm.
in your principles. Basically, how good are an actuary? Do you see when there is a problem? Are you able to think in terms of the basics you've had, of the tools that you can use? Can you confidently come up with a theory? And then, more importantly, if someone tells you you're wrong, will you be able to take it rather than getting hold on what you know, right? I mean that comes, and fortunately for new students, there is so much tools and then so much guidance they can learn from. But early days, it was difficult. It was difficult to know when you really say, I'm an actual stand up, I can stand my own.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So like you mentioned the tools and the ways that, actuaries of today, the newly qualified or say some years experienced can train themselves. So like, do you have any suggestions for them, like the ways that or the sources that they can use to develop themselves, A, on as an actuary on the technical side, and B, what do you think one should do for the overall personality development, and how much that should matter,
That's going to be a long answer because I mean that's something I always used to advise or mentor, where I would see common patterns, right? So
Okay.
the very first is, there is no right or wrong time. Someone might take 3 4 years to be confident, someone makes 6 7 years. So it's not a race. It's up to one's own method and speed, and then being convinced, right? As someone, basic tools, what I would, if I had to redo my journey, what I would have done is I would have tried to focus on one thing a week that I'm working, that I connect back to my core reading. It's not that I pass the paper, I don't go back and then pick up the nest and get involved. No, the principles that we learn in our actuarial stages, they are very relevant. We need to go back
Mm.
and then they need to embed in our mind. Say, if you hear a problem, a challenge, an actuarial perspective, then you should be able to go back and link, okay, this subject, this chapter, this point. So we need to have that clarity. That's the biggest tool that we need to, because ultimately, as an actuaries, we are risk evaluators. We need to know our
Yeah.
tools, right? Those
Yeah.
tools are our city subjects.
Okay,
You
that really
really
quite,
need to,
yeah.
yeah, someone really need to keep a tab, and not only that, I mean, someone needs to keep asking their seniors. If someone is not able to connect that, make
Hmm.
that happen. Go back and then ask your seniors what I am missing, what I'm not seeing in my day-to-day work that I'm not seeing. Even like experience studies was simple, right? But it's so important. There are so many concepts that come up, right? So the part of the tools, our tool is our education that makes us to think long term and makes in terms of the risk evaluation and quantification, that we will have to take at least 3 to 5 years of ingraining that in our day-to-day work. Whatever it is, you will find, you should be able to find that in right. That's one part. The other part of being a person, right? It's no, I'm saying it does feel odd for me to focus on a personality, because you should know what your strengths are, and more importantly what weaknesses are. Someone might be having a communication, most likely it's communication, it boils down to communication, because actually they are known to be techie guys. No, they are not, right? Geeky guys, no. it's all about it's all about communication, and communication is different for different people. What matters is how sincere you are, how coherently you can put things together. And that coherency comes later, as long as you're sincere, you want to tell something. If you're
Yeah.
well rehearsed, if you know your subject well, you know what you're talking about, those things will come, and everybody has their own style, right? But more importantly, there is this element of being comfortable in one's skin, not racing with others, not treating the job and work as competition that you need to beat everyone. I think personality follows.
Yeah. Right. So it's like, just making yourself better, understanding what your personality is, working on your weaknesses, sharpening your strengths further, isn't it? So,
Agree. In a sense, I refer to the opportunity cost, right? So
mm,
there's the ideal sense of what we want to be, right?
yeah,
But to get there, you have to spend time, make efforts, and that very much means that you are losing on something else that you could have been, right? So when you
right.
pick up something as a strength, you're working towards it, you also need to know what you are not gonna be.
Yeah,
That's more
yeah,
important, right? So knowing this called circle of competence, knowing what you are means knowing what you cannot be, because you did not have time to pursue that,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Got
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
it looks like vague, but you pick up 4 or 5 things that you're good at,
Mm,
but also spend time understand being good at means you are sacrificing your time and energy, and time is the currency of our life. You know,
yeah,
it's people pay back by money, position, or salary. No, but we're paying back by our time. That means we also should know what we will not be. That's more key.
mm, yeah. No, that's actually helpful. It kind of relates to my next question. Like, if you have like any views from your side on like what should be the belief system, in a way, like how can one manage themselves better, because technical side is one thing, but apart from that there's so much like pressure and competition and things like the space at which people want to scale up in their career, etc., these days. But alongside it sometimes feels that they're also kind of lonely, or they feel that when they're lacking behind on certain things, they are the problems that are unique to them. So they have to manage themselves, emotionally, how they take decisions, or how the way you think. So any thoughts on that, that value system and how you manage yourself basically?
I mean, it's not just for actuarial science. It's for general
Yeah,
life in a sense, isn't it? I mean, it
yeah,
applies
yeah,
to
it's
every
life
other
as a
field,
whole.
any
Yeah,
other professional field, right? So
yeah,
I guess a couple of things that's important being an actuary is that uh, what we come into, or we make decisions on others people money. So that
mm,
responsibility is something that we always should be keeping in mind, right? So we have a
mm,
more responsibility than a normal person, because we tend to make decisions on others money,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
that's some moral responsibility of us to be more involved, understand more, think more, be right. That's on the professionalism, which is what the institutes actually try to do. The whole the professionalism course, the being responsible for other what we think. So that should reflect upon one's way of working, in a sense, have a logical way of working, have a construct right from the naming of a file, so those
Mm.
small things add up a lot, right? So every work has to have a good audit trail, or rather someone can develop a working pattern that's auditable, that's verifiable, that can be reproducible. That's so important for actuary, right? That's a one moment to make, right? And on a personal front, I would take life as consisting of three. No, it's a stool of three legs. What you need sharpening yourself. You should keep on improving yourself. That's the first one.
Mm.
Second thing is the family and social status. That's where you are, right? Your designation, you are raised. And third part is, of course, the money, right? And it's rarely that life is never fair. Wish life was fair. Life is never fair. It depends. Your personality grows on which part of the leg you focus more on. If you focus exclusively only on one, of course there will be imbalances, right?
Mm. Yeah.
But unfortunately, now what's happening, I see a lot of peer pressure. As I mentioned, someone got promoted in 2 years, 3 years, someone getting X money, I'm not getting that. Rather than putting them as a goals, start believing in yourself, which has happened with me. And not chasing money, not chasing promotion, but keep on improving yourself. What have learned in last 6 months? What is that one thing that I can put in my CV? I would put someone fresh in my team that, okay, think your career as every year as something that you can put in your CV. What is that this year will put on CV that I can back you up? So by the time 20 years, you would have a good
Yeah.
20, 30 lines paragraph for that what you have done. Every year has to be different. So if you have that learning hunger, and that
Mm.
percolates in every other area of you where you would want to improve yourself. And it
Right.
goes back to, again, what I'm my
Mm.
sole principle is that I got only one life. Why would I waste it doing same thing every year? I would have to improve it.
Yeah. Keep on growing and exploring the different diverse aspects of it. So, like, then in your journey, did you like as part of your growth? So I understood like the value system and how there was a hunger for learning in you, and you were beyond this thing that the comparison and stuff. But like, how did you? Was it ever that you targeted any promotion? How you approached it, the growth, and how you prepared for it?
um Interestingly, I got lucky in most places, but in initial days it's easier to get recognition. You start low and the promotions come easy, right? But then at the later time it becomes hard, and putting I'll become an MD or a senior VP, or in by this year time, and I would say X amount of money
Mm.
would probably not right approach. For me, it was never an approach. Look, I have to keep on growing, and when there's a time, and some people are lucky, some people are better articulated, some people are better suited for the job, right? So not now, not this time. So there was no point getting upset because I don't get a promotion. But uh, I would say just keep on improving, and then money and position will automatically follow. There may be delayed, but there is
Mm.
a reason for everything. So I guess it's all about believing in yourself, keep on improving with relentlessly will get you there where you want to be. Some people
Yeah.
get sooner, some people
Yeah.
get later. I mean, I can quote that in a sense, like I started my actual career 10 years ago, and in my till my last job, all my bosses and seniors were by rule about 5 to 10 years younger to me. There's no point comparing myself with them because my journey is different. Their journey is different. Some people are lucky. Some people get hired into a company like Swiss Re and then very quickly rise up to a senior VP or director level. Someone might have starting somewhere and then find a meandering path to go back. But that's not right or wrong.
Yeah. And so, like you said, that, one has one life, so why wasted doing the same thing? So, would you like to talk about the different things then which you have tried doing and put your hands into? Are they all related to the different things within actuarial industry, or are they just out of the industry as well?
That's an interesting question. I'm thankful to my parents who gave me a lot of books to read. So I've been avid reader since I was very young. Uh,
Yeah.
so that means I get to know more possibilities, right? So the more you read, the more you understand the possibilities. Or another way, the books are they're communication tools. Everybody tells a story, then you get you 100 books with 100 types of storytelling, right? So that means there are so much possibilities. Again, if I look back now, last 20 years, what I am, my learning pace, and then what I'm doing, I wish I had this sense of liberation. I could spend an hour for 6 months and do something. I'd have picked up a lot more, right? I mean, back to your question, yes, there is a lot that I picked up along the way. I've been reading. I picked up interest in coding. I can code really good in VBA. Then that followed into Python. Then into blockchain. That really fascinating technology. And then I could link that blockchain concept with what it's the disruptions with Yuval Noah Harari's *Sapiens*. I'm not sure if you read that book. It tells you about a lot more how the different how humans evolved,
Yeah.
right? Then from there to quantum computing, because I've done a physics major and I know coding, and then I can be comfortable with uncertainty. That means that's something I can recon with, right?
Hmm.
And recently going back to my roots. I'm learning Sanskrit because it's such a wonderful language. I mean, it looks a lot, but
Hmm.
I guess it's a destiny. You will get to know what you want to do. If you're really out for it, you'll get things. I believe what I could have done differently is focus on one thing for long enough. I was guilty
Hmm.
of starting many things and losing interest, and then next something catches up and then run behind it. But rather than that, get something, do study about what it is, and then take a stand. Okay, I will be not excel A1 in that, but at least some familiarity, be some expertise, and then do that without getting distracted. And then you
Hmm.
have a lifetime. Like every 6 months you learn something, and then everything keeps on building, right? Just to give a quick example, I did this AI and machine learning and digital health from IISc. I wanted to go back and get a degree badly, which I walked out in way back when. Then it was 6 months, took almost like 12 months in COVID, during COVID period. But that's such a fascinating thing, right? And it has a direct relevance to my working field, life insurance. You can talk about drug discovery, you can talk about mapping the brain with the markers, you can talk about being able to dissect a live cell, and those things are transformational, right? Or that the view that aging is no more a nature problem, it's just a bioengineering problem. They're not like thousands of things to get age. There are about just 10 or 11 biomarkers. Work on them, you can take to next. We have improved our mortality from average to 40 to 80, but nothing has been done over the last 100 years. But if you address these problems, you can get to 120. That's the next level you're talking about, right? So
Right.
it's things are happening fascinating. Sometimes I feel I should have born about 10, 20 years later. But nevertheless, I think there is so much happening. And then each one of us actuaries, or each one of these younger generation who have interest in learning many things, it's a right time for them. There was never a better time than this to pick up, build a niche skill of
Right.
what you know of diverse things.
Right. Right. And like you quoted quantum coding and all of that stuff. So, what are the other things that you feel, you have seen in the recent times, as you said, that they have come up, or like, I think there's this data science and the AI stuff. So, have you like got any chance to like spend time there as well, apart from the conventional actuarial work? Like, or
Definitely,
maybe,
yes. Yes, because in Swissery, it's a good company with a good work-life balance. That's why I
okay.
have to agree with that, European and American insurers. And COVID was kind of gave time, right? I could save commuting. I saved almost like 10 hours a week commuting. That means I get an extra day, right? So to understand, put a perspective, what I personally believe is there is a there's a massive wave of wealth being created. The massive wealth wave is beginning to happen. This
Mm.
happened in 2000, when internet came in, and those who could ride the wave, they could make big name satisfaction, but most of us just went under. We use the internet every day, but we don't know. If you ask how that works, most of us wouldn't know, right? Same thing is about to happen in terms of AI, machine learning, and then blockchain and quantum computing. Just off the topic, but a little perspective. In 1700s, 1800s, the labor got demonetized. Your human value, total GDP, was linked to the muscle power, either human or the animal. That got delimited because of machines. You saw a massive
Yeah.
wealth to be created, right? That
Yeah.
led to change in governments. It was priest or the
Yeah.
kings. Now it is government. We experimented with
Mm.
communism, and then now with a say, if you can say, corporate kind of a corporate democracy, which is not fair, but still it's a way there, right? But then around after Second World War, there was a knowledge delimited, no demonetization. With internet, what happened? The knowledge got demonetized. Before internet, those who knew the secrets would rise up fast. But now,
Mm.
knowledge got delimited, no, demonetized. The next step, what's happening now is the computing power we can't process in our brains. The processing power with cloud, the
Mm.
processing power to process the knowledge, which is huge. Like every year we are creating more data than what we created so far. It's
Yeah.
exponential growth. That's getting demonetized, right? Now
Yeah.
we are thinking binary. What I'm seeing you in a bits, right? I mean, what you are looking at, what you're hearing, it's
Yeah.
all binary thinking. The coding is binary, the data is binary, the programming is binary. Now we are getting into probabilistic computing and probabilistic coding. That's gonna enhance like exponentially the way we look at programming. That's gonna be quantum programming, right? Quantum computing, or how do you write codes
Mm.
for that? That's going to happen in our lifetime. But again, just to know quantum computing, it might take 100 years, but we are starting beginnings file of that. But what's interesting is that at every demonetization, the common wealth, or the if you look at productivity as the wealth, the wealth has gone, like multifold. It's
Yeah.
exponential growth. So what you're
Yeah.
going to see is creation of wealth. You just look at American share market last couple of years. The whole value is being propped up by the Magnificent Seven, right? That's a wealth
Mm.
creation for you, right? So I'm
Yeah.
saying, I mean, back to what you're talking about, actuaries. I mean, actuaries is such a wonderful field where you are part of this. You need to know coding, you need to know what's happening, you need to know economy, you need to know what's changing, you need to know, because without that you can't predict risk, right?
Yeah.
Every increase in
Yeah.
wealth creates new risk. So
New risks.
we
Yeah.
are and we are structurally trained to analyze the risk and then find the reason, right? So that way we already have good enough. Being qualified, actually 10-year 20-year experience is a wonderful platform to start opening up to all these possibilities.
Right. And so on that note, like, so there's a lot that we talked about today. So we talked about the kind of work that you have done and how your journey was. And did you also get involved in things which are like apart from the actuarial work, like any other than work interests? Uh, I know that there was already so much, and as you said, time is the currency. So I don't know. Sometimes it's like it's difficult to take out time for things outside of your office work. But I feel that sometimes we're like we used to follow certain hobbies, or we had certain passions apart from work, and we used to spend time on that. So do you think it still we should continue doing that, and does it add value? Was there something like that in your journey?
Oh, definitely, yes. I mean, this interesting thing, right? So as one of my colleagues, I was telling him, look, we become so big and caught up. Once we had enough, once we become qualified, we grow horns because we become special, right? We're a special species. And then then you become an associate director or someone, and then what happens? We get too big for ourselves. We in an office space, in a corner office or a office cabin, you become so big that we tend to forget that there is a life outside. But in reality, you just walk out of the glass door, you are no one. You get on a cab, you are nothing, no one for him, right? So that's a hard truth that's for any people, most people, right? That something is difficult because we get caught up in chasing money, chasing being a team lead, or having a power to like just for fun sometimes, it's tricky. We need to get off that race and see what really. But the simple question for me was that if I keep on doing for 20 years and retire when I'm on deathbed, would I be just an actuary? Probably not. I wouldn't want to be an actuary. I want to die as an actuary, just an actuary, right? So what else? Then there is a life. As I said, it's you need to really get on multiple lives. Like I started trekking when I was 40, been to Himalayas multiple times, climbed almost like 6 kilometer
Nice.
up. Like it's fun. And then plus Himalaya is like it's something you go there, you feel so small. It's a huge mountain, and then you really feel that you are nothing, right? And that gives you perspective. There are bigger Himalayas in your mind that you should scale up, not just them, right? That's one. And then do spend some time. I'm guilty of not spending enough time with my sons. They're already grown up, they're taller than me. I, way those times have been. I mean, I feel lost that I can't even remember when they were young, and then like walking. Of course, I had spent time, but before you blink, that time will be lost, especially young parents, right? So need to focus on time. Don't ever compromise the quality
Mm.
times that you want to spend. Find something, read a lot of books, tons of books. Come read that whatever comes your way, right? Have some favorite author or something. Teach. I found that teaching is especially helpful. I that because I guess as we get old, we want to connect back to the young energy, and then talking to that really helps. I mean, it's like it's different. I feel energized when I go back and look at young people and then be able to tell them what you can do. And when you see and you see when someone learns and that aha moment, oh, I understand that now, that really gives
That's
you
unique.
happiness.
Yeah, actually, I share that kind of feeling with you. Like, I got a call from the IA and I did this SP1 guidance and support program for the Institute of Actuaries of India. And I realized that how much of an impact that made to the students who were studying. Like, one student got in touch and he told me that he had topped his P1 that
Wow,
session.
that's a good one. It's pay forward for us, right? We are learned from others. We learned
Yeah,
what's right, what's wrong, and somebody helped us. So it's a pay forward.
yeah, yeah, true. So, so on the last bit, I saw that you're involved in a lot of other things apart from the actuarial work, etc. And obviously, we got to know about your personal interests like trekking and how it helped you as well. You also work in association with II, as I've heard, and lots of other things like blogging, etc. So, would you like to tell us and our viewers about that, all of that?
Yeah, I've been part of Institute of Actuaries for some time. 'Cause I believe in my profession, and then, as I said, it's my pay forward, right? It makes sense to. I mean, I've been lucky enough to get to know. I wouldn't have expected that I would reach at this level when I was had passed out from BSc in then remote town. I'm lucky, so that means there is some obligation for me to pass it forward. What's right, what's wrong, and help someone to get their journey quick. And I could do that with Institute of Actuaries. Plus, at the same time, in a large team in Swiss Re, right? You can just motivate people. All people
Mhm.
need sometimes is a courage and then motivation and then helping a nudging point, and then they would do it. So that way, I really like being part of institute. And again, the actual profession is like that, right? It's a each one of us are part of it, and the whole community is as weak as the weakest link in the chain. So we need to be better prepared for that. So the every effort of us making other young actuaries better, it always pays back. It what goes around comes around, right? That's one. Blogging, yes, because I wish I could write more, but then again, there's a lot of opportunity cost for that, right? So I just try to keep what I learn, what I write, lot unfinished. But I find that writing helps you to clarify things better for you. So you get a new concept, you want to try that out, and then when you want to write it down, you spend a lot more just refining. And once you write it, it's more or less you know what it is, right? So that's another one. So if sometimes another tip is, right, if you want to tell something, just write it down and get it to show someone, and how does it make sense, if the logical flow is right or not that way, right? That's on the blogging, right? Actually, we all are lucky in these times where there are multiple paths are available. You don't have to be a traditional actuary anymore. You can find your own niche skill sets of what you can do. So part of corporate culture, part of some voluntary teaching, part of some other stuff, part of being an angel investor, so that you can tell them your experience, right? I've been trying to that as well. I've been getting into an angel investing, and then sit on at the advisory board, and then tell them, okay, fine, this is the risk perception traditional one, right? So there is very many ways possible, and I believe in next 5 to 10 years, this is going to even expand. So keep your eyes and ears open.
Yeah.
Best advice I can give you is read a lot, get technically better, know what AIML is, know what's happening, know about new trends, know what's happening, what's changing industry, and number of paths will definitely open.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good to know. And yeah, and over time, there are definitely like the actuarial world as we saw it like some years before. It isn't like that, you know. We now tend to call it the conventional actuarial world and the new world, because we are kind of breaking the boundaries and disrupting a lot of data aspect, etc. So actually, it was quite interesting to understand that, given at your experience also, you are so keeping yourself every time you're upskilling yourself, and you are involved in the, so to say, latest things. So that was a very good takeaway for all of us, like me and all the listeners. So I would like to thank you, sir, for your time today. And that was a very cherished chat. And thanks for being my first guest on my podcast series.
Thanks, Arushi. I wish you all the best for the series. Hope people like it, and then it will be good hit.
Thanks, sir. I just hope that, today, whoever listens to it, they've got some of their answers, or they've got, they felt just good listening to it. Some takeaways, because the idea was really that the younger actuaries, how they can think about growing their career, how they can grow on the personal front, the value systems, and how the insurance world and the actual world particularly is growing. And we are getting into newer disruptive fields as well, where actuarial degree is a very strong base, and it gives you really wings to fly in multiple directions. Taking them higher is what was my takeaway really today.
Couldn't agree
So
more. I mean, it's exciting world out there. I wish I was younger.
sure. So I'm hoping that all of us make you proud. And yeah, thanks, sir. Thanks. I'll take
Yeah.
leave. Thanks. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, sir. Bye.